after a World Series championship, there's always those obligatory questions. Well, can complacency set in? I never really think that's an issue with the Yankees.
Well, you'd hope not, but it's our job to make sure it doesn't. But it can. I mean, I can tell you, one of the first things I raised to the club down here in spring training was 1996. We, the '96 club had a lot similar characteristics to the 2009 club in terms of togetherness, and that club was a band of brothers, no different than the 2009 club, and they played hard on the field, and they really loved each other and came together as a team as well, and that was all real. And in '96, after we won the whole thing, we had relatively identical team that returned in '97, except for John Wetland went free agency to Texas, and so Mariano Rivera was the anointed closer then after his successful setup season in '96. And so essentially everybody was the same coming back, but something was different. It started with the Cecil Fielder pulled out in spring training for renegotiation on contract because of the trade that took place from Detroit. He had that right in his contract, and it kind of carried through the whole year long, and we barely made the playoffs. It felt like, off the top of my head, in my mind, we were a wild card team in a first round knockout, and we were relatively the same club, but we were fighting ourselves almost all year long. So you try to point those things out where just because you had success and you still have a championship caliber club and you're a band of brothers last year, it just doesn't necessarily mean it carries over. You have to pay attention to warning signs that come out there and pay attention to the details of what made you successful and prepare the same way and sacrifice and be willing to sacrifice for the greater good. And if you're not, then the deterioration starts, and that's our job to prevent that stuff from happening.
Let's talk about the big decision last week that was front page headlines across the board. You named Phil Hughes as your starter, and Joba Chamberlain will come out of the bullpen this year.
This was a difficult decision, down here, because between Chamberlain, Mitre, Aceves, and Hughes, they all pitched well. They really did. And in Joba's particular case, he had a better spring this year as a starter than last year. So obviously building on what he had last year. It's just we have such depth, thankfully, knock on wood here, with Vasquez's addition along with Burnett and Pettit and Cece, that you got to have to pick somebody. And so in one case, Joba's development's now complete. He wouldn't have innings limits and things of that nature. So it's just, how does he compare with his peers right now? In the 2010 efforts of our organization to win, and in the direct competition head to head, we have Hughes ahead right now, and so that's the direction we've gone. And Hughes was terrific this spring, like a lot of these guys were, but with the development of that changeup to his, especially in the game against Philadelphia 2 starts ago, he really opened eyes